What if death isn't the end? What if it's something else entirely, something we've forgotten? We all know death is coming. We try not to think about it, but it follows us silently, a quiet shadow behind every laugh, every breath. We fear it, avoid it, pretend it's far away. But what if we've misunderstood it? Here's a strange thought. Every night, we go to sleep. Our minds go silent. Our bodies stop moving. We fall into dreams or nothingness. And yet, we call that rest. Why then do we call death the end? What if death is just another kind of sleep, another kind of dream? Throughout time, people have asked this question. Not just scientists or philosophers, but mystics, poets, and those who came close to dying but returned. Maybe death is not a wall, but a door. Maybe we feared it not because it ends life, but because it starts something deeper. Long ago, before modern science or technology, people believed the soul kept going after death. They didn't think life ended when the body stopped. They believed death was a crossing, not a vanishing. The Egyptians spoke of the afterlife. They built pyramids and tombs not just to honor the dead, but to prepare them for the journey beyond. The Hindus believed in reincarnation, that the soul is born again and again, learning something new each time. The Greeks had their own ideas. Plato said we are not learning new things. We are remembering what the soul already knows. In Tibet, monks read the Book of the Dead to guide people through death, like a map for the soul. The body may die, they believed, but the self continues on, through mysterious in-between worlds. Even Celtic tribes, far from the east, believed that death was just another part of the great cycle of life. All over the world, in different times and places, people believed the same strange thing. The soul moves on. Could they all have been wrong, or were they remembering something we've forgotten? Now let's look at death from another side. Science. Science tells us that energy can't be destroyed. It just changes form. A tree becomes ash, ash becomes dust, dust becomes earth again. But what about the mind? What about our thoughts? Our awareness? Our sense of I am? Some scientists believe the mind comes only from the brain. When the brain dies, the mind disappears. But not all agree. There are strange cases, things science can't explain. People who die for a few minutes. Their hearts stop. Their brains go silent. Yet, when they come back, they remember things. They describe floating above their bodies, seeing doctors, hearing voices, feeling peace or fear. Some talk about a light, others a tunnel. Some meet people they knew. Others say they felt like they became everything and nothing at the same time. How can they remember anything if their brain was off? Some scientists now explore the idea that the brain doesn't create consciousness but filters it, like a radio tuning into a signal. Could it be that when the brain stops, the signal keeps going? We think of life and death as two separate things. Life is movement. Death is stillness. Life is light. Death is dark. Life is presence. Death is absence. But what if this split isn't real? Some spiritual traditions teach that the self we believe in, the me inside our head, is an illusion. The ego, they say, is just a collection of thoughts, habits, and memories. If that's true, then death doesn't destroy the self. It only dissolves the illusion. What dies may not be real in the first place. Think of a wave in the ocean. It rises, it moves, it crashes. But was it ever separate from the sea? Death perhaps is just the wave returning to the water it always was. Teachers like Ramana Maharshi, Alan Watts, and ancient mystics said the same thing in different ways. You are not the body. You are not the mind. You are the awareness behind it all. So maybe death doesn't take life away. Maybe it only takes away the mask. Here's a strange and haunting idea. What if you've died before? What if this isn't your first life? Some children remember details of lives they never lived, names of people they never met, places they've never seen, but describe perfectly. These stories have been studied, even documented. Could it be imagination? Maybe. But what if it's something more? If we are born again, again and again, who are we really? Are we the name we carry now? Or something much older? In Hinduism and Buddhism, life is a wheel. Birth, death, rebirth, again and again, until we learn who we are, until we awaken. But here's the paradox. If we keep returning, that means something survives. Yet what survives may not be the self we know now, something deeper, something beyond names and memories. Rebirth doesn't just mean living again, it means letting go again, over and over, until one day maybe we remember. If death is a journey, why don't we remember where we came from? Why do we fear something that might be natural? Some ancient stories speak of a veil, a curtain drawn over our minds when we are born. The Greeks called it Lethe, the river of forgetting. Souls drank from it before they entered the world. Some mystical texts say we forget so that we can live fully. If we remembered eternity, we might not value each moment. Imagine if you knew for sure you'd live again. Would you care as deeply? Would you try as hard? Would love matter the same way? Perhaps forgetting is not punishment, but part of the game. To discover life again, as if for the first time. To choose love even when we fear loss. To walk into death and feel the mystery calling us home. There's an old saying, whispered by mystics, die before you die, and you will never die. What does it mean? It means this. If you can let go of your ego, your attachments, your fears, your false self, before death, you'll see what's truly eternal. Many who meditate deeply or have near-death experiences speak of this kind of death. A death of the self that leaves something pure and free behind. Rumi, the Sufi poet, said, "Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form." Death, in this light, is not darkness. It's light that burns away illusion. It is the moment when the small self disappears and the real self awakens. This kind of death brings life, not fear, not loss, but peace. And maybe that's the secret behind the veil. Maybe death is not something to run from. Maybe it's something we're meant to remember. Closing reflection, so, is death the end? Or is it a return, a shift, a homecoming? Maybe the truth is not in the answers, but in the questions we dare to ask. And maybe, just maybe, by facing death now, quietly, openly, we begin to live in a whole new way. Not in fear, but in wonder. What really happens when we die? It's the one thing every human being will face, yet it remains the greatest mystery. We avoid the question. We don't talk about it. But death is always there, quietly waiting. So here's the question. Is death truly the end? Or could it be something else entirely? A doorway, not a wall? Imagine this. Someone's heart stops. For a few minutes, there's no breath, no brain, activity, they're gone, but then they come back, and when they do, they tell stories of light, peace, even seeing themselves from above. It makes you wonder, if death was the end, how could anything be experienced after it? This is not just a story. It's a crack in everything we've been told, and once you start looking through that crack, the whole picture begins to change. Long before science, ancient cultures had their own answers. The Egyptians believed in the afterlife, a journey through the underworld guided by sacred books. Hindus and Buddhists spoke of reincarnation, where the soul is reborn again and again. The Greeks believed the soul could live on in a realm of light or darkness, depending on how you lived your life. To them, death wasn't an end, it was a crossing. In Tibet, monks still read the Book of the Dead to those who are dying. They believe the soul passes through stages after death, and with awareness, it can move on to freedom. Were these just myths, or ancient wisdom we've forgotten? These cultures didn't fear death the way we do today. They prepared for it. Some even welcomed it as a return to truth. Modern science tells us that consciousness comes from the brain, And when the brain dies, so do we. But here's the twist. Some scientific studies are starting to question that idea. Doctors have recorded people who had near-death experiences, people who were clinically dead with no heartbeat or brain activity, yet came back with detailed memories. Some described events in the room that they shouldn't have been able to know. In hospitals around the world, this is happening more and more. These experiences are hard to explain, but impossible to ignore. Some scientists now wonder if the brain is not the creator of consciousness, but a receiver, like a radio. If that's true, then death might not destroy us. It might just turn off the signal.